Have you ever wondered if the universe is not made of matter, but of music? Tonight, we'll drift into a softer way of seeing, where numbers have personalities, sound carries memory, and your own heartbeat is part of a cosmic orchestra that began long before you were born. Find a quiet place, let your shoulders loosen, and let your breathing slow. This is your time, your moment to simply listen. Before we begin, I invite you to subscribe so we can share these journeys again. And if you'd like, tell me where and when you are listening from right now, because our stories always unfold differently depending on the night and the listener. In this story, we'll follow a hidden language of frequency that shaped ancient temples, sacred water, and even your DNA language forgotten by modern ears, but still remembered by the cells in your body. We'll wander through the fields, where geometry hums, where love has a measurable sound, and where each act of kindness becomes a note in the planet's great song. And somewhere along the way, you might feel the quiet recognition that you've been part of this music all along. What if the first thing you learned was also the first thing you forgot? That before language wrapped around meaning, and before logic sliced truth into manageable parts, there was a sound, a soft, humming field beneath your feet, above your head, within your breath. Not music in the way you think of it, not a song, not a melody, but a living vibration, a woven resonance that shaped you before you had skin or name. And what if that field never disappeared? What if it's still here, whispering through the silence between thoughts, waiting to be remembered? This is not fantasy. It is frequency. Long before we built pyramids or printed alphabets, we danced with numbers not to calculate, but to commune. The ancients Pythagoreans, Sufi mystics, early Chinese sages, temple builders from places whose names are now dust did not think of numbers as abstract tools. They saw them as spirits, frequencies, instructions, echoes of the original blueprint. Tesla knew. He didn't say energy was everything. He said frequency, vibration, and energy were the keys to understanding reality. He said if we only understood the significance of 3, 6, and 9, we would hold the key to the universe. And yet today, we are taught these digits like dead things, divorced from their voice, from their rhythm. But not everything forgot. Some part of you didn't. You can feel it, can't you? That subtle shift when you hear a certain sound, that pull in your chest when a chord change makes you weep without knowing why. Those are memories not personal, but cellular. A music your DNA once knew by heart. This isn't poetry, not really. It's quantum biology. Strange? Yes. But what if strange is just the word we use for what we've forgotten how to feel? Because numbers don't just count, they speak. Consider this. Start with 1. Double it. You get 2. Double again, 4. Then 8. Then 16. Now reduce each to a single digit. 1 stays 1. 2 stays 2. 4 is 4. 8 is 8. But 1 plus 6 becomes 7. Keep going. You'll find a pattern, a pulse, a rhythm that dances in the background. And yet, 3, 6, and 9 are never in that pattern. They don't play the game. They observe it. They orbit it. They define the boundaries of it. These 3 digits behave like guardians, like gateways. In Roding's vortex mathematics, they form a sacred triangle: the observer, the breath, the mirror. They are not just numbers. They are meta-numbers principles beyond quantity. And when you map them into geometry, into electricity, into time, they begin to organize chaos. They're woven into crop circle formations. They're embedded in sacred chants. They're visible in the ratios of nature, in the branching of trees, in the spiral of galaxies. You don't need to believe it. You only need to notice. The universe leaves clues all the time. And maybe, just maybe, that soft tug in your heart isn't confusion. It's recognition. Mini hook. But what happens when you apply this field? To your own body? You are not built from parts. You are built from patterns. Every organ, every limb, every gland is a rhythmic expression. Your body is a musical instrument sculpted by invisible hands. Your heartbeat is not a pump, it's a drum. Your brain is not a computer, it's a tuning fork. And your DNA? It is not just a molecule. It is a coil of light and water and sound. A resonant antenna, a bridge between what is seen and what is felt. The spiral of your genetic code is not arbitrary. It mirrors the golden mean. It follows the Fibonacci sequence. It resonates with 528 Hz, the so-called miracle frequency. This tone isn't made up. It's the frequency at which broken DNA begins to repair itself in laboratory settings. It's the frequency chlorophyll harmonizes with. It's the same tone emitted by the sun, encoded in the hum of bees, and mirrored in the color green, the midpoint of the visible light spectrum. Coincidence or chorus? Perhaps the real question is not whether you are tuned to it, but whether you have been slowly detuned. Mini hook. What if modern life is not broken, but simply out of tune? This brings us to language. Not just what you say, but how sound touches your cells. Ancient tongues like Sanskrit, Hebrew, and Aramaic were constructed using vibrational geometries. When chanted, they did not merely transmit meaning, they sculpted space. They resonated the water inside the body into structured coherence. That's why old scriptures were memorized, not read. They were incantations, each syllable a frequency key, each word a tuning ritual. But over time, as empire took hold, language was reshaped. Scripts were standardized, tones were flattened. English, particularly post-Shakespearean English, was engineered to favor control over clarity. It became a cognitive tool, not a harmonic one. The tuning of music followed suit. The solfeggio scale, once used in Gregorian chants to awaken consciousness, was replaced by the A440 standard. This may seem technical, but the shift is felt. Music once opened hearts. Now it programs moods. Frequencies once lifted. Now they loop, and what you listen to, you become. Mini hook. But sound is not the only transmitter. What about water? Water is not inert. It is memory in motion. Dr. Masaru Emoto's experiments showed us that water responds to intention, to words, even to prayer. When exposed to anger, it crystallizes into chaos. When exposed to gratitude or love, it forms hexagonal, snowflake-like beauty. These aren't metaphors, they're photographs. Your body, being over 70% water, is constantly recording. Not in gigabytes, but in geometry. And the hexagonal structure of energized water is the difference between stagnation and vitality. That's why structured water is essential for DNA to function. Remove it, and the double helix collapses. Hydration, then, isn't just about quenching thirst. It's about updating memory. Water is the hard drive of consciousness, and frequency is the software, which means every word you say, every emotion you feel, every song you hum is writing the code of your biology. Mini hook. If that's true, what happens when you feel love? Love is not just an emotion. It is a field. It has magnetic coherence. It has electrical amplitude. The HeartMath Institute found that the heart produces a field 60 times stronger than the brain's electrical signals. That field extends several feet outside the body, sometimes measurable up to miles away in highly coherent states. Gratitude, compassion, joy, these are not sentiments. They are resonance signatures. When you feel them, your heart becomes an amplifier. And when the heart synchronizes with breath, with intention, and with frequencies like 528 Hz, it becomes a portal, a transmitter, a participant in the wider harmonic field. That's why moments of synchronicity feel like alignment. You are not making them happen. You are tuning into them. Life is not always a puzzle to solve. Sometimes it's a song to hear. Again, mini hook. But you are not singing alone. The ancients understood collective frequency. From the Great Pyramid to Stonehenge to Angkor Wat, these structures are not only aligned astronomically, they are tuned acoustically. The King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid, for instance, resonates at precisely 440 and 528 Hertz, not by accident, but by design. These sites were massive tuning forks, energy centers, not places of burial but resurrection. They harnessed the Earth's own telluric fields and amplified human intention. Walk through one, and your cells vibrate differently. Chant inside, and the stone remembers. That's why pilgrimage mattered. Not to prove devotion, but to return to coherence. You walked into a temple and remembered who you were. And maybe that's what we've lost, not knowledge, but resonance. Mini hook, but it can be restored. And it starts not with machines, or rituals, or teachers, but with remembering. Remembering that frequency is not external. It is already within you. Your voice, your heartbeat, your breath, all instruments. When you speak gently, when you breathe with care, when you think with presence, you are already tuning. You don't need to master the science. You only need to listen. Beneath the noise, there is still a hum. A constant, quiet field calling you home. And in that home, you are never alone. You are part of a larger rhythm, a planetary song, a symphony of frequency, softly waiting to be played again, Dot. So now that we've gently returned to this quiet recognition, that your body is not just biology, but frequency, let us go deeper, not through complexity, but through stillness. There's a kind of knowing that doesn't require proof. It arrives like scent before memory, or warmth before sunrise. That's how the harmonic field speaks, not through volume, but through invitation. And one of the strangest, most elegant invitations is this: your thoughts have weight. Your feelings have charge. And when both align with frequency, they can shape matter. This is not metaphor. This is measurable. In controlled environments, directed intention paired with coherent emotional states has altered the structure of water, the germination speed of seeds, and even the outcome of light photons in quantum double-slit experiments. The observer effect, long ridiculed as philosophical fluff, is now being folded into quantum biology and neurocardiology. What you feel changes what you see, and what you see then reinforces what you feel. It's a loop, but loops can spiral. And when they spiral upward, they don't just change your life, they bend reality. Mini hook. So what happens when enough people spiral upward together? This brings us to the 144,000 number long, shrouded in esoteric lore, scriptural mystery, and New Age misinterpretation. But beyond prophecy, it has harmonic significance. When 144,000 individuals enter a sustained, coherent frequency, especially near 528, they create a standing wave capable of influencing the Earth's electromagnetic field. That's not mythology, it's resonance. Just as an opera singer can shatter glass or a bridge can collapse from wind-induced vibration, the human heart properly tuned can affect matter, weather, and even timelines. Mass meditation experiments have already shown reductions in crime, spikes in atmospheric charge, and anomalous coherence in global magnetic patterns. You are not as small as you are taught to believe. You are not separate from the system. You are a signal within it. And when you align with love, you amplify that signal far beyond your body. Mini hook. But to amplify love, we must first understand its physics. 0.528 Hertz is not a random choice. It sits at the heart of the original solfeggio scale, used by Gregorian. Monks and chants believed to invoke spiritual awakening and healing. Each tone in that ancient scale correlates to a specific physical and emotional effect. 417 for undoing trauma, 639 for harmonizing relationships, 852 for intuition, but 528 the jet. Central tone is the one most aligned with life itself. It reduces to 6. 5 plus 2 plus 8 equals 15 is 1 plus 5 equals 6. And it is geometrically encoded in chlorophyll, in human DNA repair, and in the Schumann resonance of the earth. It is the frequency of heart coherence, of compassion, of miraculous shifts. And when you hum it, sing it, or play it, you're not just listening. You're remembering. That's why certain songs bring tears, why certain chants feel like home, even when you don't know the language. They're not speaking to your mind. They're vibrating your memory. Mini hook. But where is that memory stored? Inside you. In water. In light. In space. Every cell in your body contains microtubules, tiny hollow structures, once dismissed as scaffolding, now understood to transmit biophotons. Light. Each microtubule is bathed in structured water. That water holds charge, spin, and memory. It responds to sound and thought. And together, they form a fractal network, one that some researchers now believe may be the seat of consciousness itself. You are not thinking with your brain alone. You are thinking with a distributed intelligence light, traveling along a harmonic field, shaped by intention, bathed in geometry. This means intuition is not guessing. It is data retrieval through resonance. It means dreams are not random. They are nightly recalibrations of your personal waveform. And it means trauma is not just emotional. It is a distortion in the field, a knot in the song. But like all distortions, it can be retuned. Mini hook. And to retune, we must re-enter stillness. Stillness is not the absence of motion. It is the alignment of motion. A still pond holds every reflection. A still body reveals every ripple. That's why meditation matters, not as a belief system, but as a harmonizing practice. When you sit in silence, you're not doing nothing. You're removing static. You're tuning the instrument. And that tuning changes the music of your life. You make better decisions. You notice subtle signals. You become available to guidance not from outside, but from within the field itself. That's also why breath is sacred. Each inhale brings in raw vibration. Each exhale releases old charge. Conscious breath forms a triangle with heart and mind, a trinity of coherence. Many indigenous traditions taught this as prayer, not words, but pattern, not asking, but aligning. And through alignment, reality bends, not dramatically, but quietly, like light through crystal. Mini hook, but the crystal must be clean. Crystals hold frequency. That's why they've been used in radios, computers, even modern healing. But the most powerful crystal in your life is not one you wear, it's the water in your cells. When structured, it amplifies. When distorted, it deflects. That's why stress drains you. It's not just cortisol, it's coherence collapse. And that's why joy energizes its resonance restoration. You felt it. The shiver down. The spine. The chill in your skin when truth touches you. Those are physiological acknowledgments. Your body saying, this is in tune. Follow this. And that's how the harmonic field guides, not with commands, but confirmations. Your job is not to force it. Your job is to feel it. And when you do, even briefly, the field responds. You become magnetized to synchronicity. You start seeing patterns again. Repeating numbers. Echoing phrases. Perfect timing. These are not tricks. They are traces of alignment, of the song. Mini hook. But can we live in that song every day? That's the invitation. Not to escape the world, but to retune within it. Imagine waking not into chaos, but into frequency. You open your eyes and say a word of gratitude not as habit, but as tuning. You drink water structured with sunlight or vibration. You listen to tones that support your biology. You speak with intention. You choose food grown in harmony. You walk barefoot, feeling the earth's resonance. You interact with others from coherence, not conflict. This is not utopia. This is design, a way of living in which every action contributes to the field, feeding coherence into a system that once fed distortion. You are not here to fix the world. You are here to harmonize with it, to become a note of music, a ripple of remembrance, a lighthouse of frequency. And when enough lighthouses glow, the darkness reorganizes. A field shifts, not instantly, but inevitably. Mini hook. But the question is, will we remember? Because remembering is not about going back. It's about going inward. You already carry the codes, the frequencies, the geometry. It's in your bones, your heartbeat, your voice. This is why speaking from love feels different. It lands deeper. It lasts longer. It alters timelines. And this is also why fear speaks loudest. In static, it cannot exist in harmony. That's why modern systems of media, governance, and culture often prioritize dissonance. It's not conspiracy, it's entropy. Systems out of tune create noise, but you can step out, not by fighting, but by tuning. When you no longer match the chaos, you exit its gravity. And in that stillness, others notice. They feel it. They can't name it, but they follow it, because coherence is magnetic, and your frequency becomes invitation to sing again, to listen again, to align not with ideas, but with reality as it truly is. Vibration, pattern, music. You are not a prisoner of this song. You are its player. Let us now move toward the center of the field, the quiet knowing that pulses beneath all form. If you've come this far, you've already begun to remember, not through learning, but through resonance, through the subtle sense that something inside you, something ancient, has been stirred. This is not awakening in the loud, dramatic sense. It is far softer, a dewdrop remembering the sky, a leaf realigning with the wind. You are beginning to hear again, not just with your ears, but with your skin, your breath, your intuition. And this hearing is the first sense of home. In the harmonic field, nothing is truly separate. Everything is signal, and signals harmonize when they are allowed to simply be. This is the great error of modern thinking, that you must strive, reach, dominate, control. But frequency does not force. It offers. And when you align with its offer, life doesn't just work better. It sings. You walk into a room and feel the weight of silence or the lightness of joy. You begin to sense the vibrational imprint of words before they're spoken. You notice how architecture either softens or scatters you. You realize some places exhaust you because they hum out of phase. You stop blaming yourself for this sensitivity. You start honoring it, because sensitivity is not weakness. It is attunement. Mini hook. And attunement is the beginning of co-creation. You see, we are not here just to survive frequency. We are here to shape it. Every time you express from a coherent state, whether through touch, tone, thought, or presence, you impress the field. You inform it. You leave ripples. And these ripples, when repeated, become patterns. And patterns, when sustained, become structure. So yes, buildings can be designed from sound, but so can relationships. So can moments. So can futures. The harmonic field is not just a passive hum. It is a living matrix that responds to coherence, like strings respond to a bow. This is how sacred architecture worked. This is how songlines in Aboriginal culture functioned, maps not written, but sung. Directions held not in signs, but in frequencies passed from elder to child, land to sky. And we, in our forgetfulness, replaced song with signs. But now the field invites us to return, not to the past, but to resonance. Many hook, but how do you sustain that resonance in a noisy world? You don't avoid the noise. You become so clear that the noise cannot entangle you. This is the gift of coherence. It is both shield and signal. You still live among distortion, but it moves through you. You do not absorb it. You witness it. And witnessing is a superpower when paired with stillness. Imagine walking into a crowded room, not to take energy or defend from it, but to radiate, not through effort, but presence. Because the heart broadcasts at all times, and the coherent heart broadcasts clarity, not opinion, not volume, just clarity. And clarity cuts through confusion like tuning forks align strings. This is the deeper meaning of being the change. It's not about doing more. It's about vibrating differently. And the irony? When you stop striving to be important, you become impactful. When you stop needing to fix the world, you begin to heal it. Mini hook. And healing is not about removing pain, it's about remembering harmony. Pain, after all, is often signal, not punishment. It says something has fallen out of tune. And so, rather than resist it, we can listen. What does the ache want to show us? What part of the song has been silenced? This is true emotionally, physically, even collectively. We live in a time of planetary dissonance, but also of planetary potential. Because beneath the static, the old harmonics are returning. Sacred sites are being rediscovered. Ancient languages are resurfacing. The physics of sound, light, and water are converging with the teachings of mystics. Science is learning to speak poetry again. And you, yes, you are part of that restoration. Every time you choose presence over reaction, every time you breathe before speaking, every time you offer gratitude instead of complaint, you retune the field, and it hears you because the field is listening. It always has been, mini hook, and sometimes it speaks back. In dreams, in synchronicities, in the way a stranger says exactly what you are thinking, in the sudden memory that brings clarity, in the bird that lands beside you just as you ask for a sign, in the way your body relaxes when you hear the right tone. These are not coincidences. They are convergences, points of resonance where your personal waveform intersects with the wider one, and they increase with coherence. This is why miracles are not rare. They are natural outcomes of alignment. When your intention is clear, your heart open, your body hydrated, and your environment harmonized, the field sings louder. And the universe, no longer distorted through fear, begins to respond in kind. Events unfold with grace. People appear at the right time. Decisions feel like movements, not calculations. And life, once complex, becomes symphonic. Not without challenge, but with meaning. Mini hook. And meaning is the bridge between sound and soul. This is the mystery that sages have whispered for millennia, that meaning is not created by thought, but revealed by resonance. You do not assign meaning, you uncover it. And that uncovering happens through attunement. What feels heavy reveals distortion. What feels luminous points to truth. Not always comfortable, but always aligned. And as you follow that thread, moment to moment, the field begins to trust you. It offers more. You become a vessel. You speak and others listen, not because your words are loud, but because they carry frequency. You touch and others heal not, because you intend to fix them, but because your field reminds them. You simply are, and in that being, you harmonize. You become music, not background noise, but signal, not solo, but symphony. And in that symphony, everything has a place, even your silence, especially your silence. So breathe. Now, gently, feel how the air, once overlooked, is now sacred. Each molecule shaped by movement, by memory, by intention. You are not just inhaling oxygen, you are drawing in possibility. And you are releasing what no longer sings in you. This is the rhythm of the harmonic field. Inhale resonance. Exhale distortion. Inhale alignment. Exhale confusion. Not once, but always. It is not a ritual. It is a remembering. Like tuning a string that had gone flat. Like finding the original key to a forgotten song. And that song is you. It always was. You are not separate from the music of creation. You are a line in its melody. A necessary tone. A sacred note. You do not need to become anything. You only need to become audible again. Coherent. Aligned. Awake. And so we arrive not at the end, but at a threshold. You now carry this frequency, even in the quiet, even in the dark, especially in the dark. You carry it in your speech, your posture, your perception. The question is no longer what is true. The question is, what is in tune? And that question will shape your path, your healing, your vision. Not all at once, but gently. The way a cello. Tune emerges when a hand finds the right pressure. The way a forest breathes when the wind shifts. The way you breathe, now knowing that everything has changed, not because the world is different, but because you are in harmony with it. There is a moment, quiet and unannounced, when the humming of the world begins to match the rhythm inside. It happens slowly, like mist drifting through a valley, unnoticed until everything glistens. This is where the harmonic field becomes more than a concept. It becomes a presence. Not something you think about, but something that walks beside you. In silence, in breath, in ordinary moments, made sacred through coherence. The grocery line, a traffic light, a shared glance. These are no longer fragments of a scattered life. They are beats in a larger rhythm. And the more you attune, the more obvious it becomes that reality is not fixed. It is responsive, flexible, musical. You change your tone, and the world responds in kind. You think in fear, and doors close. You feel in trust, and the path gently unfolds. It's not magic, it's resonance. Everything is listening. The floor beneath you, the air around you, the water inside you. Every molecule a waiting string, vibrating softly, asking only for one thing. Tune me, bring me back into harmony. And the way you do that is by becoming what you are. Not the version shaped by noise and urgency, but the one shaped by listening, by stillness, by love. Mini Ook. And when you live as love, the architecture of reality begins to shift out. To live as love does not mean to be passive. It means to become luminous. Not blinding, but warm. Not demanding, but magnetic. Imagine walking through a garden where every plant grows toward you, not because you are important, but because your frequency feeds them. This is how the field responds to coherence. And not just plants, people too. Conversations deepen, conflict softens, eyes linger with recognition. You no longer strive to be seen because your presence is already felt. This is the quiet power of embodied resonance. It requires no proof, no doctrine, no performance. It is a frequency away, a being that the universe remembers. And the moment you remember it too, you become a beacon, a field, a soft flame in the night of forgetting. Mini Hook, and the forgotten begin to remember through you. The most extraordinary thing about this field is that it is not rare. It is not exclusive. It is everywhere. The trees are tuned to it. The rivers, the wind. Animals do not need to be convinced of harmony. They already live inside it. Their migration paths, their mating calls, their sleeping patterns are all choreographed by the same silent conductor that moves the stars. It is only humans who resist the score, who live out of rhythm, out of breath, out of tune, but not because they are flawed, only because they have been detuned. And yet, the original tuning is never lost. It remains in the bones, in the breath, in the space between thoughts. All it takes is one return, one moment of coherence, one act of soft attention, and the memory reawakens. This is why so many feel drawn to forests, oceans, firelight, not for escape, but for return. These places vibrate close to the original song. They remind you, they retune you, without words, without effort. Mini hook. And in that return, your purpose becomes clear, not as a task, but as a tone. Purpose, when seen through frequency, is not a role you play, it is a frequency you anchor. Some people do this through art, others through touch, some through leadership, some through quiet care. It is not about what you do. It is about the resonance you bring to what you do. A baker aligned with love does more for the world than a revolutionary consumed by fear. A parent who listens from the heart vibrates more change than 1,000 debates. You don't need a grand mission. You are the mission. You are the frequency, carrier, the transmitter, the songbringer. When you speak, when you move, when you forgive, when you hope, you change the field. Not with force, but with fidelity. The fidelity of vibration. And every time you choose love over reaction, trust over control, stillness over panic, the tuning deepens. The song strengthens, and others hear it. They won't know what it is. They'll say, there's something about you. But what they're sensing is the song remembering itself. Mini hook, and that memory moves faster than light. This is the paradox of resonance. It is soft, but unstoppable. It moves quietly, but it moves through everything. Entire systems begin to reorganize in the presence of sustained coherence. Not through conflict, not through revolution, but through harmonic inevitability. The same way ice melts in warmth, distortion dissolves in the presence of authentic frequency. And this is why your personal journey matters so deeply. Because the field does not change in abstraction, it changes in embodiment. Your body, your breath, your awareness is where the tuning happens. The collective field is a mirror of the individual field. Heal one, and the other shifts. That's why mystics, monks, shamans, and wanderers spent lifetimes cultivating inner resonance, not to escape the world, but to stabilize it. You can be one of them. You already are. You've been practicing every time you chose presence, every time you felt deeply, every time you whispered kindness to yourself. You were tuning. You are tuning. You are the field adjusting itself from within. Mini hook. And from within comes everything. You may still wonder, how do I know I'm aligned? The answer is subtle. You feel soft, not weak. Open, not exposed. Curious, not restless. You make decisions from stillness, not fear. You speak slowly. You listen deeply. You feel safe in silence. You notice beauty without reaching for it. Time stretches. Breath deepens. You feel without needing to name. That is alignment. That is resonance. And the more you live there, the more reality organizes itself around that frequency. Chaos still exists, but you are no longer at its mercy. You can hold it without becoming it. You can hear the dissonance without matching it. You become a tuning fork in the storm, and others, in their own time, begin to harmonize with you. It doesn't happen through effort. It happens through presence, through listening, through patience. This is the new form of leadership, not command, but coherence. Mini hook. And coherence, once embodied, becomes destiny. And perhaps this is the true awakening, not a rising into something new, but a falling back into something ancient. Not a climb, but a chord. Not enlightenment, but alignment. A recognition that you were never broken. only out of tune, and that the path home is not linear. It is harmonic, spiral, rhythmic. One moment of stillness, one breath of gratitude, one kind word, each a step in the melody, each a return. And the earth feels it, the waters feel it, the trees, the stars, the memories locked in stone. They all feel when a human comes back into tune. The great silence echoes louder in your presence. The harmonic field, no longer distant, begins to dance through you, and you realize you are never separate. You are always a note in the great, unfolding song of all that is. The music was never lost, only waiting for you to hear it again. And now we arrive at the place that isn't a place, where the field no longer surrounds you, but arises from within you. This is the quiet inversion. You are never meant to seek the song outside, because the true harmonic field is not something you enter. It is something you remember being. It has always been here, woven through your voice, your hands, your sleep, your memories, even your grief. Especially your grief. Because grief, too, is resonance. It is love echoing across a space that once held form. It is a field folding back on itself, mourning not what was lost, but what was beautiful enough to be missed. In this, grief is not dissonance, it is sacred tuning. A kind of internal bell that says, you love deeply, therefore. You feel deeply. And to feel deeply is to vibrate with life. That's the core of the harmonic field. It does not promise a life without sorrow. It promises a life of presence. It invites you to feel all things, not to become them, but to resonate truthfully within them. And when you do, something changes. In the way the world meets you, light feels warmer. Silence feels fuller. Even your name begins to sound different in your mind, as if you're slowly waking into the original tone you are always meant to carry. Mini Hook. And carrying that tone is the beginning of planetary transformation. You see, transformation is not a leap. It is a tuning. A process of aligning more and more of your moments to your frequency, rather than to your fear. When you feel scattered, you return to the breath. When you feel anxious, you listen for silence. When you feel unseen, you speak truth without the need for recognition. These are the micro-tunings, the gentle adjustments that restore coherence, not just to your body, but to the world through you. Because everything responds. Your cells, your water, your surroundings, your relationships. Each time you return to alignment, you reset the patterns, not through force, but through resonance. And resonance spreads. It teaches, without instruction. Like a candle lighting another. There is no loss in the sharing of light-only expansion. You become that light, and others feel it before they understand it. They begin to ask different questions. They breathe slower in your presence. They feel the silence as a friend, not a threat. And they remember without knowing why that they too once knew how to sing. Mini-Hook. And when enough people begin to sing, the world begins to listen. Because the world, too, is a body. It has breath weather systems. It has blood rivers. It has memory mountains. And it has frequency. When humanity hums in dissonance, the earth responds with storms, droughts, tremors, not as punishment, but as signal. Like any body, it shakes when misaligned. But when coherence rises, when enough hearts align with the harmonic field, Earth begins to soothe. This is not fiction. Measurements of geomagnetic activity during synchronized global meditation show reduced turbulence in the field. Emotional coherence in people correlates with measurable coherence in the Earth. Are not walking on a passive rock. You are in a relationship with a living, listening being. And your tuning contributes. Your breath matters. Your feelings matter. They are part of a wider ecology and emotional climate with real electromagnetic impact. This is why despair, is so heavy it's not just personal, it's participatory. But so is joy, so is love, so is stillness. These are not luxuries. They are planetary medicine, and you carry it right now. Mini hook, and to carry it well, you need only remember one truth: you are already enough. Because the idea that you must earn your place in the field is the greatest distortion of all. You are not here to be worthy. You are here to be present. That is enough. That has always been enough. The tree doesn't justify its bloom. The bird doesn't explain its song. Neither asks if they are doing it right. They simply radiate. They align with their design. And so can you. This is why healing doesn't always look like fixing. Sometimes it looks like accepting, like slowing down, like trusting the intelligence of your frequency more than the noise of your narrative. When you begin to live from this place, everything changes, not in sudden bursts, but in quiet reorganizations. Your schedule begins to feel like rhythm. Your conversations become less about information and more about connection. You stop chasing time. Time begins to stretch for you. You don't age the same way. You don't tire the same way. Because resonance is restorative. It renews you, not because you earned it, but because you finally stopped resisting it. Mini hook. And when resistance falls away, what remains is the original song. The original song is not dramatic. It's not cinematic. It's not loud. It's something else entirely. It is the moment just before dawn. It is the quiet between heartbeats. It is the feeling that arises when you hold someone without needing to speak. It's the softness that fills the space where fear used to be. And it was never gone. It was only hidden beneath the stories you were told about who you had to be. Stories written in the frequency of survival. But now you've remembered another story. One written not in words, but in tone. And tone cannot be argued with. It can only be felt. That's why you can't unhear what you've heard. You can't unfeel what you've now felt. You are changed, not because anything external shifted, but because your listening deepened. Your breath slowed. Your presence expanded. You began to live as signal, not echo. And that's how the field knows when a soul has come home, not through applause, but through silence, through coherence, through stillness that sings. Mini hook. And in that stillness, a new world begins to emerge, not because every age of human history begins not with invention, but with vibration. The Renaissance began in cathedrals tuned to sacred ratios. The Enlightenment began with music and geometry. The future begins with frequency, not in the hands of machines, but in the hearts of people. People like you who remember how to feel, how to listen, how to love without needing to control. This is the return of the ancient future, remembering of what we always were: co-creators, field participants, frequency keepers. You are not here to escape the old world. You are here to tune it, not to fight the static, but to become so deeply tuned to truth that static dissolves. You do this through breath, through touch, through gentle choices, through living at the pace of presence. And as you do, the harmonic field grows stronger through you, not separate from you. Through you, you become a node of transformation, a tuning fork for possibility. And the more you trust that role, the more you realize it's not a role at all. It's your nature, Mini hook, and your nature is harmony dot. And so this final part of the journey isn't an ending. It's an opening. The harmonic field has no walls, no gates, no masters, only frequencies, and you carry them. You always have. You are not awakening to a new truth. You are remembering the original tone, the song you came into the world humming before language shaped your mouth. That tone still exists, in the quiet behind your thoughts, in the breath you forgot to notice, In the light that fills your skin from the inside out, the world will continue to speak in static. But you now know the difference. You have heard something older, quieter, truer, and you cannot forget it, not fully. It will echo in every act of compassion. It will sing in every moment of coherence. And it will grow louder every time you choose to live in tune with what you already are. A frequency, a field, a tone so pure that even the universe must pause to listen. There is a final depth the field invites you into, a space beyond ideas, beyond feelings, even beyond breath. It is the realm where meaning ceases to be an effort and becomes an atmosphere, where you no longer ask, "What is my purpose?" but instead begin to sense that your very being is enough. You've made the journey across numbers, frequencies, DNA spirals, and sacred tones. But now, the field no longer needs explanation. Because something quieter has taken root, you don't need to understand 528 hertz to feel peace when you hear it. You don't need to master vortex mathematics to know when your life is aligning. You simply know, in the body, in the pulse, in the moment. And that knowing is soft, not dramatic. It arrives the way dusk paints shadows slowly, everywhere. There's no announcement, just a presence. This is the field's greatest gift. Not information, but intimacy. Not knowledge, but knowing. Not certainty, but serenity. It offers nothing to chase, only something to receive. And when you do, even the smallest gestures change shape. Washing your hands becomes a blessing. Sitting becomes prayer. Listening becomes healing. And stillness becomes music. Mini hook. And from this stillness, new realities begin to unfold, not out there, but within. Because the future isn't something that happens to you. It's something that vibrates from you. It doesn't arrive fully formed. It echoes first. A thought, a whisper, a pattern that repeats not to annoy you, but to awaken you. A moment of déjà vu that says, you've been here before, because the path ahead isn't straighted. Loops, sings, spirals. It's not a staircase, it's a string. And you pluck it with every choice you make from love, from coherence, from resonance. You see, the real technology of awakening is not digital. It's vibrational. It's found in the integrity of your tone, the honesty of your silence, the texture of your presence. And when you align your inner song with the outer field, you become a portal, not to escape this world, but to remake it. You don't do it alone. You do it by joining the symphony that was always playing beneath the noise. And the more you tune in, the more everything else tunes around you. People shift, places feel different, timing improves. And not because you did anything, but because you remembered how to be. Mini hook, and being, when truly aligned, begins to reweave the structure of time itself. Time becomes spacious in the harmonic field. It is no longer a ticking threat. It becomes a pulsing rhythm. A collaborator. You feel when to act, when to pause. You sense when to speak, when to wait. Synchronicity becomes normal. Not because you manipulate time, but because you stop resisting it. You float in the current instead of trying to swim upstream. The right people arrive without needing to be summoned. The wrong paths lose their stickiness. You learn to trust the drift, not because you're passive, but because you've attuned to a deeper intelligence. An intelligence that doesn't shout, but whispers. It says, rest now. It says, move now. It says, this is not yours to carry. Or, this moment needs your presence more than your plan. And you listen not because you understand, but because it feels undeniably correct. This is how the field teaches. Through confirmation, not command. Through vibration, not volume. Mini hook. And once you learn its language, you can never go back to the static world. The static world still exists. It will always exist, but you're not woven into it anymore. You can see it without being caught in it. You can hear the noise without amplifying it. You become a quiet frequency in a loud system. And that quietness is subversive, revolutionary, healing. You'll be told you're too sensitive, too soft, too slow, but you'll know, deep in your cells, that sensitivity is your strength. That softness is where power breathes. That slowness is where truth walks. You don't need to convert others. The field doesn't proselytize. It doesn't argue. It hums, and those ready to remember will feel it. They will come closer, not because of what you say, but because of who you are when you say nothing. This is the kind of presence that changes rooms. The kind that holds space without filling it. The kind that vibrates safety without needing to be loud about it. You don't command energy. You conduct it. And in that role, you are not just participant, you are instrument and conductor both. Mini hook, and every moment becomes a chance to play something beautiful. You begin to live in grace. Not as a moral ideal, but as a sensory reality. You feel your way through days, not with logic alone, but with tone. The way a singer hits a note and knows it's right without measuring. The way a dancer steps not to plan, but to pulse. You are that singer now. You are that dancer. Your breath is the metronome. Your heart is the key signature. And life, when you meet it with this rhythm, becomes less about outcome and more about harmony. Even challenges feel different. They don't shrink you. They stretch your resonance. Pain becomes less personal and more instructional, like feedback on a string that's slightly out of tune. You adjust not to escape pain, but to refine your frequency. And in that process, you grow not upward, but inward. Not towards some imagined perfection, but toward a deeper fidelity to what you already are. Mini hook, and what you already are, is enough dot, and now you begin to ripple, not just through people, but through environments, timelines, even dreams. You notice old fears no longer grip you. Old patterns no longer repeat. New insights arrive in sleep. Subtle visions emerge in the edge between waking and dreaming. You feel watched, not by threat, but by love, as if something ancient and wise is aware that you are listening again, and perhaps it is. Perhaps the field itself has a kind of consciousness not like ours, but wider, deeper, vaster. A mothering intelligence, a remembering presence. And every time you align, it leans in. It breathes through you. It whispers in light and wind and touch and silence. Yes, beloved, this is the way home, not as destination, but as return. Not as achievement, but as realignment. And when you live from this place, the world becomes not smaller, but kinder. Not simpler, but softer. Even mystery begins to feel like a friend. Mini hook. And with mystery as your companion, you no longer need control to feel safe. Control fades, not because life becomes predictable, but because uncertainty no longer feels like threat. You've made peace with the unknown. You've seen it isn't empty. It's fertile, pregnant with potential. And in that space, creativity flowers. Ideas land. Love grows. Possibilities multiply. This is the garden of the harmonic field. You tend it not with force, but with frequency. You don't force the seed to sprout, you sing to it. You water it with presence. You wait, trusting the timing, and things bloom often differently than expected, but always in harmony. Even your dreams shift. They become more vivid, more coherent. You begin to receive not just sleep stories, but blueprints, fragments of future, echoes of timelines where humanity remembers, where silence is sacred, where sound heals, where love governs not by rule, but by resonance. You carry those dreams into waking life, not to escape the present, but to reweave it. This is your new role: dreamer, weaver, harmonic node in a planetary network of awakening. Not above, not ahead, but within, mini hook. And within is where all true power begins. So now the field is no longer something you visit. It's something you embody. You are not in it, you are it. A walking song, a breathing tone, a memory, restored in motion. You look at the sky and know it's listening. You touch water and know it responds. You hold someone and know the coherence travels. And in that knowing, there is peace. Not because pain is gone, but because meaning has returned. Not as concept, but as frequency. A resonance that says, you belong here. You always have. And now you remember. The song has begun again, and you are no longer waiting for your cue. You are already singing. And now, as the last notes dissolve into stillness, you find yourself not at the end of a story, but within its continuation, carrying the resonance like a lantern, cupped gently in your chest. Nothing grand announces your transformation. Number. Fireworks, no applause. Just a quieter room, a deeper breath, a softened edge to your thoughts. The field hums on, not louder, but clearer. You'll hear it in moments of pause, in the warmth behind a stranger's eyes, in the way your own hands rest more kindly upon your lap. This is how the harmonic field lives, not as a spectacle, but as a presence. It walks with you now, not as a secret to guard, but as a tone to live by. And if ever you forget, if the static returns, you know the way back. Stillness, breath, coherence, love. Thank you for listening, for feeling, for remembering. If this story has tuned something in you, subscribe to our channel so we can meet again next time. And know that other stories are waiting quiet, ancient, and humming beneath. The noise ready to awaken in your listening. You've never been alone in this symphony. You've only just begun to hear your part.